Welcome to Chop and Brew, everybody. We are in Don Osborne's backyard. Happy Father's Day, Dono.
Thank you very much.
Happy long distance Father's Day.
Long distance Father's Day. I'm missing out.
Still a father.
Still a father. Yes.
I'm Chip Walton. I'm here with Don Osborne and Brian Condron from the Irish Craft Beer Show.
Hello, people.
We just wrapped up a wicked long weekend of HomebrewCon, and Brian here, who is in from Ireland for the event, has to be at the airport in about 4 hours. But before we let him go, or he let us go, he had some gifts for us, right, Brian?
Gifts. I thought I'd have some sort of Americans react to Irish beer, if we can present our gifts. So the first one we're going to look at is this one, the Yellowbelly Lager, and this is from the Yellowbelly Brewery in Wexford in Ireland. And the head brewer, I think, is somebody that Chip knows.
Yeah.
Mr. Declan Effin Nixon, I think he's known as.
Fucking Nixon.
Fucking Nixon.
He was in the BrewCon episode, kind of talking about how important the National Homebrew Club was to him in his journey to becoming a brewer.
So the Yellowbelly Brewery, it started out as a brew pub at Simon Lambert's pub in Wexford. Very quickly, their beers developed a reputation as being so good that they started shipping them around the country. So this is the Yellowbelly Lager, which was their main one that they started canning and distributing around the country. Yellowbelly, they've just moved. They started a 200 litre system in the brew pub. They've now moved to a 6,000 litre system, which I believe was the original brewery of Brewdog from Scotland. They've shipped it over to Wexford. So a little bit of brewing history there, I think you'd agree.
Well, thank you. How many miles does this beer have on it?
Miles?
Miles
Cheers.
and miles and miles.
Well, it survived that 10,000 kilometer journey in my bag. So
Excellent.
4% alcohol. Unfiltered natural beer brewed and canned at Yellowbelly. Okay. Seeing if they had any. It does contain gluten/wheat. Spoiler alert.
it's gluten free. You don't pay extra for the gluten.
So, tell me real quick about lager's role, period, in Irish beer. I didn't feel like I saw a ton of it last year.
I don't think you saw a ton of it because we didn't bring you to the pubs that serve macro beers. Probably until 2017, the lager was the preserve of Heineken, it was Carlsberg, Budweiser. Those three of them are on tap in every beer, except for the pubs we brought you to, of course. Every bar. Respect. But in the last year, I've noticed a lot of the craft breweries have started bringing out the lager. Like Yellowbelly was one of the first one. I know. I did give you a Metal Man when you were over there. They did the unfiltered lager. They've done the Zwickel. A few of the craft breweries, I know 8 Degrees Brewing have done as well. So it's not just a preserve of the big brewery anymore.
And this doesn't have any corn, rice adjunct. This appears to be barley.
Of course.
Yeast, water, malt, hops.
Yeah.
It definitely has a lager aroma that is not unpleasant, but not uncommon either. And it drinks really nice. I mean, it drinks like a super balanced, flavorful beer. I think the 4% alcohol is interesting. I mean, it's just really low, really drinkable.
Yeah.
This is the kind of beer that I would happily drink instead of a macro lager. I want something a little better, and this is a good example of a craft brewery that's making a decent, drinkable, everyday lager.
And what's great about this is I didn't have to go to any specialist beer shop to get this. This was in the supermarket where I do my weekly grocery shopping.
That is nice.
Pop a 4-pack into the trolley.
We can't even say that yet.
Good
We
for
don't
them.
have it in grocery stores.
Yeah, I get a real rich malt grain, a little bit of hay, kind of straw and grass from the malt. The hops seem very just earthy, a little spicy maybe.
Yeah. Part of it drinks like a Helles, I think, but then also I wonder, part of me thinks that it's just more like a pale European lager too. It's sort of a...
Yeah.
Which the difference would be a Helles might be a little bit more slightly bigger mouthfeel or maltier, but I mean it's a fine line. It's very nice.
But it's not super dry too. It's not trying to be fucking piss beer.
It is not.
It's kind of like where you said the pale side. It's almost getting into like pale ale in its richness, but clearly that lager.
Well, you can have rich. You can certainly have a good malt character in a good lager. I mean, that's what we learned at the Homebrew Con, if we didn't know it already. So certainly, like the woman's talk on Pilsner Quell as an example. You know, it's a really super flavorful lager that.
And don't say saws. You better say zots.
Zots.
Zots, or Andy Johnson will personally come down and
Smack
poke
you.
poke you in the chest 1,000,000 times. Cool. Thanks for bringing that.
And cheers to Declan.
Cheers, Declan.
Nice job.
Declan was a cool dude. He knew the Brewing TV crew. He knew a lot of the YouTube posse based here in Minnesota. So when I met him last year and got to drink his awesome beer off hand pump and just rap with him for about 10 minutes, it was cool. He, after that video, he's like, man, he was like, I didn't feel like I cussed that much. And now everybody says I'm the foul-mouthed brewer of Ireland. I was like, I fail to believe that you're the worst.
The first parental advisory episode of Chop and Brew.
Right. Yeah, and I decided to go on. I was just like, A, if you had beeped it out, it would have sounded just goofy because of the frequency.
Yeah.
B, it's him, you know what I mean? Like, I beep us out when we cuss because we're just cussing. But I mean, like, Declan's got flow, man. You can't interrupt the flow. Can you imagine if that was beeped the whole time? Be like, beer I think I heard beer somewhere. All right, let's so in the middle here, we're going to Alex, or are we going to do the other Yellowbelly? Yellowbelly.
So you have Passionfruit Sour or you have double IPA.
Tell us about, let's go for it.
Yeah.
Passionfruit Sour.
All right. Probably don't need to rinse after the lager, especially if we're going to this.
So this is still under Yellowbelly, but Declan is also involved with a project called Outer Banks. Is it sour or is it clean beer? I don't know.
Otter Bank.
Yeah.
Glass me.
Otter Bank is Declan's own brand. So
Okay.
So Declan, he's employed as the head brewer of Yellowbelly. However, he has released beers sometimes as a festival special, or maybe sometimes just one or two bottles as Otter Bank, which is his brand. So
Okay, so it's not a year round.
it's not a year
They're not
round.
essentially competitors of each other. He just kind of gets to throw the flare out a couple of
throw the
times.
flare out
Oh,
a couple
cool.
of times, yeah.
That is so cool that that can exist. I don't think that would happen a lot here.
Famous beer was a coffee stout called Farami, which it was very, very good. That's the only way I can describe it. Very, very good.
This punches you in the face with fruit, with a little slight bit of funk.
It does say passion fruit sour
Passion
on the front.
So full of passion fruit.
Oh baby, that does throw off aroma. You guys, I've never eaten passion fruit. I don't think. Does that?
I don't either. I feel like people
does
use
that
it as a
give you,
descriptor a lot.
Do you think that's what it?
That's exactly what you taste here. That's passion fruit.
Really?
Is it almost a little tart with that sweet, kind of like a mango can be?
Kind of like that,
Okay.
yeah.
You can tell we're going to be great judges of this beer.
Oh man,
Oh, I like this.
that is a lot of different flavors going on.
Hmm.
The passion fruit is straight up, but that melts away, and
There's some like arugula or like dandelion root kind of bitterness to it, almost like a raw root bitterness under that fruit.
I wonder if there's
Oof, yeah. Mustard.
wheat or some. I wonder what kind of grains are in there. In the middle of the flavor, there's kind of almost like a brothy. I'm assuming it's maybe from the malt. There's a interesting flavor in the middle of the taste. You kind of get the passion fruit, kind of tart, citric edge up front, or like an acidic kind of flavor. Then you get this interesting middle flavor that I'm trying to figure out.
So where are sours place in Irish craft beer at the moment?
every brewery who worked at Salt has a sour out at the moment.
Okay.
Oh, really? So it's caught right on.
It is caught on.
Well, it's
I
funny.
thought 2016. I thought 2016 was the year of the sour, when every brewery had one out, and then a few of the ones were very well received, and they've become permanent. So I know this is quite good. I know Galway Bay Brewery has a few nice sours. Godspeed if I see that Brewdock, my local Galway Bay pub, has that on tap. They tweeted on Twitter. I'm straight in there for a quick one. It's also where I change from bus to train on my way home from work. So it's quite a good location for that reason.
You're saying it's a transfer pint.
It's a transfer pint.
Yeah, this is intensely.
It's quite intense. I mean, I
Yeah.
was thinking of our other, maybe the only easy local sour beer in a can that we have is called a Session Sour by Indeed, and it's not as complex as this, and that's not necessarily a strike against it.
Yeah.
It's more drinkable than this. Also, I think the level of severity of the flavors is less in that. This is quite it's a strong sour beer. It's not undrinkable by any means. It's not tongue peeling, but it's a pretty pronounced sour flavor, and the fruit adds a whole nother realm of complexity too.
I'm glad you saved it for us, but I can't help but think that this would have been a good one to crack open at that Milk the Funk gathering.
They would appreciate it.
Yeah, they definitely would have.
I wonder how the sourness gets in there. I wonder what
Magic.
he uses.
I believe it's a kettle sour.
It's forced sour.
Apologies if I'm wrong, but
Oh.
I believe it's a kettle sour.
Okay. All right.
I like how there's a pregnant woman.
If it's
with
wrong,
a-
it'll be in the comments down below. I'll check once I go home. But
there's a pregnant woman with like a no sign around her. Like,
it does not contain.
don't
pregnant
feed the.
women.
It doesn't contain pregnant. It's preg free, is what you're saying. It's gluten free, preg free.
That's a
man.
worry. You know, it's the EU rules. We have to clarify. No pregnant women were harmed in the making of this beer.
That's like Gaston's great story about the cat sign in his brewery.
Cat don't give a shit.
Yeah, he's got he covers his open fermenters with a layer of plastic because he owns a cat, and he says, I have the sign on the door with a cat and an X over it, but the cat don't give a shit.
As
Of course not.
As cats are wont not to do.
Exactly. If there's an interest in the brewers in making sour beers and the brewing consumers drinking sour beers, does that come from Belgium, sort of directly, or does it come via American interest?
That's what I was gonna say. It's funny for us to say, for you to say
Yeah.
it's caught on, because if anything, it could have, it should have passed you, but it does feel like it's come back to you, right?
Like all of our craft beer influence, they've been filtered through America.
Okay,
I think
that is
like we
interesting.
have a lot of great European styles, but most of those great European beers have been sitting on shelves in our beer shops for years, gathering dust. Until the American brewers started to do it. I don't know why.
Well,
You're welcome, bro. You're welcome.
Jean Van Roy credits American interest in keeping the Cantillon brewery going and furthering the interest in it. And now I'm sure they're only limited by how much beer they can make. Now, I'm sure the Cantillon can sell anything they make to maybe more in Ireland now too, but also whatever they can sell to the U.S. is gonna get bought, no problem.
Like, we never had a problem getting any of those beers in Ireland. They were always there. They were always available. They just didn't move.
Yeah, it wasn't Heineken or Guinness.
Well, they move. Unfortunately, they move.
They move here too, but our brewing scene is diversified greatly, and sounds like yours is also.
Well, double thanks, double shout out to Declan. Deck.
Man, I don't know how much. 12 ounces of that would be about all I might want at one time.
Well, yeah, and if we weren't like lightning rounding it,
Yeah.
that would be a good one to have.
Sure.
Colder than we received it, and then ending warmer than we allowed it to be.
I'll take some water.
Oh yeah.
If you don't mind.
That's from Irish water, dude. Emerald Isle
What?
Water Company. That's why the top is green.
Oh my god. That didn't take much for you to get
Well,
silly today. Or
we're
you
a flight deep from
All right.
Happy Gnome.
All right.
And the flight was high altitude, my friend.
Alrighty.
Speaking of cats,
No cats.
is that Stanley or Fritz?
See, that cat also does not give a shit.
So the artwork on these cans is pretty rad. Is that a Irish lad?
Yes, Yellowbelly are known for their artwork. They have a local artist from down in Wexford by the name of Paul Reck, who comes up with every single beer that they do has a unique artwork on the can or on the tap badge in if it's on draft in the pub or the few bottles they've released, whatever. Every single beer is a different piece of artwork, and I mean, while drinking your beer, you could sit down and just look at the detail on this.
Clearly, there's a very small distribution route from Ireland to the U.S. via your suitcase. But where else in Europe is Ireland sending beer to? Are we just talking like across the way to England, or is it making its way far and wide?
A lot of the breweries are sent across to England. I know there is a bit of a demand in Italy for Irish craft beer. Definitely, I've seen 8 Degrees Brewing in particular sell a lot in Italy, and I know south of Europe as well, where they're more famous for their wines, but there is a craft beer scene down there. So
Definitely there is.
In Spain, certainly, I've had a lot of Spanish craft beers, which can be good.
Yeah.
But they do have a demand in Spain to bring in the American craft beers and Northern Europe, and so I'm pretty sure a lot of Irish beer ends up down there as well.
Yeah,
Alright,
as you're
we're-
growing a scene, the best thing you can do, second to waiting, is just go find some other good craft beer to start inspiring
That's
everybody.
it.
So what are we getting into for dessert?
So this is the 2017 Beoir Irish Craft Beer of the Year, which is Surrender to the Void, a double IPA from Whiplash Brewing. And Whiplash Brewing, if you've seen Chop and Brew episodes from Declan's interview in the Chop and Brew episode from BrewCon, is brewed by fucking Alex.
Fucking Alex. This is me and fucking Alex.
Alex Laws, who is the head brewer in Rye River, which is one of the larger craft brewers in Ireland. This is his baby. This is his own project, the Whiplash Brewing.
So it's another one of those, like, this is my side project,
This is my side project.
my thumbprint
Yeah.
away from my day job,
Kinda-
which is...
And this was originally brewed as a once-off until we voted it Beer of the Year, and he had to bring it back.
Unfiltered
Oh, really?
and
Because it won, it got that
unpasteurized.
street cred.
It got
Now,
the street cred.
people are like, well, you can't have a beer of the year that no one can go find.
So this has barley, wheat, and oats. 8.5%.
It looks like that hazy IPA that we're dealing with over
This,
here. So I can
know,
see the
is
oat influence.
very, very dry hopped. I have seen the pictures on Twitter. It has been dry hopped multiple times. So
Do you know what the hop influence is on here? Or are we just kind of
I'm just
enjoying it for what it is
I
without
just enjoy it for what it is.
without suggestibility?
I'm sure we can look it up, but
There's a tiny
Just
bit
a
of
beer, y'all.
dankness in the aroma. I don't know what that comes from in this case.
This is lovely.
Simcoe or Columbus or just Amarillo.
A lot of pine, kind of pine punch. A little bit of orange juice, a little tangerine.
There's a little kind of
a little bit of everything.
orangey.
Yeah.
The alcohol is fairly well hidden, I guess.
That's what was, when I was there.
Decent malt presence. It's also, it's not. It's not clear, but it's not a milkshake either. It does have a bitterness. It probably has the bitterness of what you consider a regular IPA, double IPA, as opposed to our new style of.
And a double IPA would have that, right? It'll still have a bittering charge. It's not hiding all the hops at 0 minute.
Those Trillium ones that were bigger in alcohol are often still just kind of that juicy,
Post boil,
maltier.
late boil hop?
Yeah, that's how those things are not supposed to have a lot of IBUs. This thing has some IBUs.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is going down pretty easily for 8.5%. Sometimes you get those big IPAs and you're like, ugh, I don't really. It's not very easy to drink, or for whatever reason.
I think it's more of a drier IPA. It doesn't have that sweetness. That's the cloying nature. Sometimes slows you down drinking a double IPA. This one you just throw it down.
See, I was going to say the opposite. Maybe that's because of our perspective of
I
what's
wouldn't say
available.
it's overly dry at all.
I think this is actually a much wetter
maltier.
finishing.
Yeah, you should have a West Coast IPA sometime. That's like
He's like,
really
go get it,
dry
jerk.
and thin.
Go get it out of the fridge.
So we're just calibrated differently.
Maybe.
No,
Yeah,
it's
maybe.
exactly,
Yeah.
and that's very interesting because I was gonna say Summit did a double IPA that finished really wet and thick, but then you'll go exactly like West Coast or West Coast style where they just they're almost like
Harder
they
to
disappear.
drink, I think, because
Yeah.
of the balance is not quite there.
No, I like this
I'm
one.
having
I like
no
these ones that
trouble
like
with this at
coat
all.
your mouth
Yeah.
because then you don't have to go in as quickly. I mean, we're going in quickly, but you don't have to.
Go in quickly.
Like go in for the next like drier
Oh,
IPA,
yeah.
double
right.
IPAs make you like.
I'm so
did I?
parched.
Oh,
I have to drink more.
Yeah.
I'm still parched.
Maybe that's a psychological tactic.
Fool me once, double IPA.
Well, thanks for bringing. I mean, this is a cool scope because when I went over, I had no idea what I was getting into. I obviously hadn't done my research, and I was like, it's gonna be Irish reds and stouts everywhere. And I got there, and I was just like, oh man, this is like
We
a
got those
young
too.
American craft beer scene. Except you caught up way quicker because there'd already
Right.
been a lot of trial and errors and
And because we
Right.
can go to America and we can see and we know what works and what
You can
doesn't.
go to
Because
You can get there.
and American liquor stores.
you
and-
can get there from where you live, of course, and vice versa. Is there anything else you want to say to wrap up this little mini
I just
session?
have to. There's no way I can. We're sitting out here. The weather's good, and we're drinking cans of beer. There's no way I can end this without saying the motto of the Whiplash Brewing Company, and that's "Bag of cans with the lads."
Bag of cans with the last. Cheers.
Cheers,
Cheers.
man. Thanks for bringing them over. Cheers to Alex and Deck and their respective breweries and personal projects for being awesome, spreading craft beer around the world. Chop for chop.
Brew for brew.
Slancha.
Skull.
Playing the abstract outro theme in my head, since that's all we've been listening to lately.